Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Return to Task Show. My name is Stephen Ampersand. I'm your host. And as always, we're here to help you and the people you love get to and through college, university, or trade schools further on time with minimum to no debt. You can clap that up. Because that's a good thing, isn't it? Except when you hit yourself in the mouth with the microphone. Yeah. So it's good to be back. And hey, it's May. Woo! Allergies are flying. Mayday, mayday. We need help. We're going down. We're going down, okay? I tell you what, May is a very hectic time of year for anyone in higher education, particularly those in, 4-year public, private, even the proprietaries, and frankly, the 2 years as well. This is a time when people go to commencement, where they commence, right? And what does commence mean? Commence means to begin, right? So you've spent the last 4 years, if you've followed our plan, right? Because you're going to finish early or on time with Turn to Task Consulting Group. But you spent 4 years earning that bachelor's degree, or 2 years earning that associate degree, and then you transferred, and then you got 2 more years and finish your bachelor's degree. And then maybe you decided to go on and do 2 additional years, and you got that master's degree. And then maybe you decided to go further than that and get a terminal degree, a doctorate degree of some kind. Either way, by this time of year in May, you're getting ready to commence, which we all know as graduation. And frankly, if you're in high school and you're a senior, you're about a month away, right? So we can clap that up too. That's pretty exciting. But this time of year is a time where people celebrate because they've completed the goal, and yet they're calling it commencement, right? So what is that all about? Well, obviously, you went through all this rigor and all this training so that you could be prepared to go and do something. And so now you've done the rigor, you've done the work, you've met the requirements. The provost will make a recommendation to the president, and the board of trustees will then be charged by the president to grant him or her or them or any of the other pronouns the authority to then confer upon you your degree or credential. All right? Yay. So lots of folks are busy with that right now. Lots of folks are running around with like chickens with their heads cut off to get commencement up and running and to make it great for people. And I applaud that. I think it's a wonderful thing. But also in May, for those who are enrollment managers, as I used to be, and as I profess to be even to this day, and frankly, as I've spent so many years in higher education doing, you are living in two worlds right now. You're celebrating the people who are graduating, but you're also trying to bring in the class for the fall. And I have many colleagues around the nation that are in this world, and my heart goes out to you. I feel you. Dap you up right there because I know how hard that is. But May 1st, for those who don't know, every year is what we in the business know as National Decision Day. When you apply to college or university, your senior year of high school, and you do that at the beginning of the year, right around the time you do your FAFSA, and then as January rolls around, you start making applications to different schools. You start getting financial aid award offers back, including institutional aid, and you also eventually get a response back about whether or not you were admitted to the college. And so those are the exciting times because everyone huddles around the computer to see if you got accepted or not. Some schools still send letters, and they open up the letter to see if you got accepted or not. There's all these exciting things that happen. And people get good news, people get not so good news. But if you apply to several different schools, which we always recommend you do here, you're going to get good news from somebody. So it's a party when that happens, right? And so now a school will look at what they have, and they'll look at their complement, and they'll say, all right, so we have, let's say, 4,000 open spots for the fall of 2022. And we need to bring in a freshman class for that, right? So they'll send out, let's say they receive 20,000 applications, and they'll make their selection. They'll figure out who's going to get and do what, and then they'll send out their award letters, and they'll send out their acceptance letters, and people will say yay because they got accepted, and then they wait to see who is going to actually show up, and they don't really know definitively until May 1st. So here we are at May 10th, so we're 9 days past the May 1st date, that deadline, where people, they say, hey, listen, you need to tell us by this time, or we're going to assume that you're not coming, and we're going to give your spot to someone who we waitlisted. And then they move that forward. Okay. So why am I telling you all this? Because now that we're at the 10th, folks have heard back, but see, colleges and universities are now afraid. They're afraid. And they're afraid for good reason, because they've just given spots to 4,000 in my scenario, which means they just turned down 16,000. And those 16,000 aren't going to just sit and wait and hope that some of the 4,000 decide to go somewhere else, and then they'll get offered a spot after all. Nobody wants to be second, third, fourth. No, I'm not trying to be anything but your first choice. If I'm not your first choice, I'm not feeling that, right? I mean, think about that in relationships. If you're in a relationship and you know that you were not your significant other's first choice, yeah, that's not gonna fly, right? So no different here. So then you find out that you weren't accepted. So then you go to look at any of the other schools that you applied to and see who accepted you. And if they accepted you, 2 or 3 of them did, or if one of them did, well, by May 1st, you would have had to let them know as well if you were coming. So chances are the 16,000 in my scenario that didn't get accepted to this particular school did get an acceptance letter somewhere else, and they likely took it and declared by May the 1st. So colleges and universities are now on pins and needles. They're kind of wringing their hands, hoping that they don't experience a significant summer melt. What is your summer melt? Summer melt is, we offered 4,000 people a spot. 4,000 people came back and said, yes, we'll take it. But between May 1st and August 30th, when they're supposed to show up to campus and move into the dorms, a percentage of those people who said yes will have changed their mind. And they will have gotten a letter from their first choice school that says, hey, guess what? Somebody that we wanted to come before you has decided they're going somewhere else. Do you still want to come here? And if it was your number one choice school, even though you're sloppy seconds, a lot of kids will take it. Which means you're out of a student over here. If you're that institution that made the offer, got the initial early May 1st acceptance of that offer, and then they changed their mind. So we're going to look at something here in just a second. Let me log in. We're gonna log in here because I want to show you an article that Inside Higher Ed put out. I'm trying to chew gum and talk at the same time. Very difficult. Okay, there we go. We in there. All right. So, oh, wait a minute. Not quite. I guess it's been a while since I logged in over here. So now they're asking me to authenticate a code. So we're going to look at it as I bypass the two-factor authentication. Oh man, fun stuff. I guess we struggle streaming tonight. Good stuff. All right. So I'm getting in here now. All right. So let's go. Inbox. We're going to take a look at Inside Higher Ed. Talk about further ado. We have had plenty of ado this evening. Pulling it up here. And we're going to take a peek in just a moment. There we go. There we go. All right, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and cut to camera number 2. And there was plenty of ado. All right, so this article is how colleges are filling their classes. Okay, and this was by Scott Jasic. So many colleges and universities, public and private, are still admitting students for the fall. Even those that have met their goals for the fall are worried about summer melt. One day in April at Duquesne University, more than 500 people wearing hairnets and in 18 assembly lines spent about an hour each packing 75,744 meals of red lentil jambalaya for those who don't have homes or food. The event was organized on an admissions day for students who had been admitted to Duquesne but hadn't yet decided whether to enroll. They worked with U.S. Hunger, a national group that fights poverty and helps those who lack food. Joel Bauman, Senior Vice President for Enrollment Management, said the idea was to demonstrate some of what makes Duquesne a special place. It's located in Pittsburgh and is deeply committed to helping those in the area who are low income. Duquesne is a Roman Catholic and the only Spartan college, Spiritan college or university in the United States. This was a cultural moment of saying that you are part of the Duquesne community, Bowman said. Every college, of course, depends on enrollment to fulfill purpose or educating students. But for most colleges, enrollment of new students is also key to their financial survival. I got to jump in right quick and give you the eye on that. Survival. Whose survival? Theirs. Keep that in mind. Okay. All right. May 1st, the traditional date for admitted applicants to say whether they will enroll, has long ceased to be the end of the process. I'm gonna jump back in for this. Okay. Long ceased to be in the process. It's still a key date, of course, but it's only one of many. So this article will not include any Ivy League colleges or the like, or flagship public universities. It will also not include colleges that are truly in danger of not having enough students in the fall, or community colleges which operate on a different calendar. But it includes colleges that admit most students who apply, which the vast majority of four-year colleges do. Okay, let me read that again slow. You ready for this? All right, here it comes. Hang on. Okay, wasn't trying to get that to happen. Hang on. We're gonna get there. Okay, struggle stream is real. Let me come back because this is important. We're gonna read this again slow. I had to come back to the big screen for that. Okay, look what it says. It says it includes colleges that admit most students who apply. They let everybody in, which the vast majority of four-year colleges do. What? Yup. I've told you this before. You see, we are in a college students market in higher education right now. That's where we are, because colleges need your enrollment. I keep telling you this. They need you bad. They need you. They are down bad. They're down bad. And they need your enrollment. So most four-year colleges and universities admit everybody who applies. You need to know that. Why? Because they use many smoke and mirrors to try to make you think that they're doing you a favor by letting you come there, when they know full well that it's actually the opposite. You're doing them a tremendous favor by enrolling with them, because there are so many colleges and universities in the United States and our U.S. territories and overseas that are our universities, that they know you have innumerable choices. And as I've referenced in previous broadcasts, we have fewer available bodies, fewer available people to actually sit into a classroom right now, because of the generational melt, if I can coin that phrase. You know what? You heard it here first. Generational melt. I just made that up. You heard it here first. We're going to call that generational melt. Right? Baby boomers were the offspring of parents in the silent generation who had 7, 8, 9, 13 kids, and it was routine. Then baby boomers came along and the sexual revolution happened and birth control became available to women. And ever since then, we've seen a steady decline in births. And so right now in this country, we're actually approaching a level of low birth that's so low that we've eclipsed the replacement rate. In other words, people are leaving naturally, we hope, but as we all do, eventually we leave, right? And that we've not been replaced by Generation X and then the millennials after that, and now we're at the zennials. There's fewer people. There's fewer college aged and college available students, let alone ready, financially prepared. It's hard out here for these colleges. They are hustling right now. They are hustling, okay? So you need to know that, because that means you are in the driver's seat if you know that. But see, they're going to do their best to make sure that you don't know that. They don't want you to know that, because if you find out, if you peek behind the curtain and see the actual Wizard of Oz, there's going to be problems. All right, let's go back to it. You need to know that. They all do. Most of them do. All right. Rather, this article will look at good colleges with programs of pride. But these colleges don't have billion-dollar endowments or truly international reputations. All four colleges in this story say that they are having a good year in admissions, but all of them are still admitting students for the fall. Okay, let me just jump back in right quick. This is like when you book an airline ticket and you go and then you get there and you find out, ladies and gentlemen, this is such and such with such and such airlines, and flight 353 to Fort Lauderdale has been overbooked. If anybody's willing to give up their seat for this flight, we will accommodate you and give you a blah 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 blah. And then they start begging people to stay in a hotel overnight until they can put them on another flight because they overbooked it. All right, you ever have that happen? I have plenty of times, because it's routine in the industry. It happens all of the time because they don't know who's going to miss a flight, who's going to cancel a flight, blah, blah, blah. And they cannot literally afford to fly that giant Boeing 747 with all that fuel, particularly with these fuel prices. You're getting both on that, right? Want and scary. Okay. All right. So what do? They overbook. And if they have to make room, then they make room by giving people, hotel stays and a airline ticket to somewhere else of their choice down the road, because they have done the math. They have actuaries, and they looked at the actuarial tables, and they realized that they will make more money overbooking in that way, even if they have to offset the overbooking with paying for some, tchotchkes later on, versus flying an empty Boeing 747. This is tantamount to what's happening in higher education. They're doing the exact same thing. In fact, maybe they even got it from there. But again, you heard it here first. I'm coming back for this. You heard it here first. I'm calling this generational melt. Generational melt. When you see it anywhere else, you'll know it started here. Okay, so let's clap that up. I'm coining the phrase generational melt, because that's what's happened here. So, and they're not alone. In early April, the National Association of College Admissions Counseling published a list of colleges still accepting applicants for the fall. This is helpful for you to know because, let me just jump in small. This is helpful for you to know because if you haven't made a decision yet, or if you're late to the game, you can see that you're never too late. You're never too late. Real talk. All right, I got to jump back out. Real talk. Okay. Look into my eyes. What I'm about to tell you is dropping real dime on the industry. You are not out of the equation until the drop ad period of the fall semester comes and goes. Okay? You are not out of the equation until literally the drop ad period ends. So you could still be enrolled up until that point. Whether or not that's ethical, another story, but you can get enrolled into a college university all the way up through their drop ad deadline. Okay. So that in mind, let's go on back. Okay. All right. It says they're not alone. The National Association of College Admissions Counseling published this list of colleges still accepting students. I read that already. Okay. There were more than 200 colleges on the list, and they give a hyperlink to it, so you'll find this in the description. As of Friday, with the NACAC adding and removing colleges as they request, there were 352 colleges on the list. They down bad. They need y'all. Okay. So Duquesne had record admissions cycle. Okay. I'm going to skip around a little bit. They had over almost 13,000 applications, which is 20% more than last year, and well above the 7,500 that they received pre-pandemic, right? Okay. So their enrollments are up, right? 1,520 students have submitted a deposit for a place in the class. And they admitted 10,000 of them, aiming for a freshman class of 1,500. So to get to 1,500 students in the seats, they admitted 10,000 students. Do you remember yesterday's broadcast when we talked about colleges that don't have dormitories for students to go to? And so literally students are homeless, living and sleeping in their cars, attending their dream school, which has become a nightmare because these schools are so desperate for enrollment that even when they overbook it, like they've done here, they still let some of them come in. I'm here to tell you right now, if you're working with Turner Task Consulting Group and you get accepted to a college and they come back and tell you that they don't have any housing for you, I'm telling you, you're going with your next choice. Straight up. Stop the cap. Stop the cap. I'm not doing that. I'm going to send you to college, have you sleeping in your car? What in the world? But that's how desperate they are. So that's how desperate they are. But you're not that desperate. At least Don't be. Don't be a student or a parent or parents who sends a student to a college because it's their dream school so they can go live in their car for the semester because they don't have housing for them. That's a bad look. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Instead, work with your task consulting group. We will help you find the right fit, right place. And yes, make sure they have housing for your son, daughter, or other, because that's important. All right. So that's Duquesne. Let's look at Montclair State University. Okay. Montclair State University, Wendy Lynn Cook, Vice President for Enrollment Management, has a similar story, although her New Jersey institution is public. Okay. Oh, here we go. The university set a record for applicants with more than 20,000. It has just under 4,000 spots admitted. What did I say? Come on, man. Clap that up. I mean, that's almost exactly the scenario I was talking about up front. See, y'all think I would just be over here playing. I'm not playing over here. I know this stuff. Come on. I've been doing this a long time. Come on. Stop the cap. Come on. Did I nail it or did I nail it? All right. Enough self-glossing. Let's go back. Okay. All right. So Montclair State. All right. So 20,000, right? They have 4,000 spots, just a little under that. And they're definitely worried about summer melt. Right? They worried. Let me move down here because I'm blocked right now. All right. There we go. Okay. Before the pandemic, the university lost around 10% of the students to summer melt. Pandemic summer melt grew, but Lynn Cook expecting it to return to normal over this year. Okay, so, case in point, they got 20,000 applications, and ultimately they got 4,000 deposits. Okay, so they're starting to get somewhere, but they're worried, and they should be because they're going to see a melt. They lost 10% last year. And it's probably worse than that when the pandemic, pre-pandemic. Okay. So what the competition looks like. This is important. W. Kent Barnes, Executive Vice President for External Relations and Enrollment at Augusta College in Illinois, offered an example of the competition. Pay attention here. Pay attention here, because this is important for you. This shows you how powerful your decision is if you know it. Okay. Now pay attention. He says, yesterday I lost a student to a direct competitor who deposited in December. Dang. The competitor offered the student a full tuition scholarship last week, and we couldn't afford to match it. And the student couldn't afford to pass on it. Listen, we're gonna stop it right there. There's more, but you don't need to see any more than that. These schools are so desperate for your enrollments that they're giving enrollment away. Well, how can they afford to do that? Well, glad you asked. They're going to, on the backs of the ignorant, enroll students, marginal students. Let's keep that real. Sweeping generalization. They're going to enroll some marginal students that really don't belong there. Generalization. That don't really belong there, but they're going to enroll them anyway because they're going to let them borrow all the student loans that they can give them to pay full tilt tuition fees, room, board, book, supplies, etc., and pay for these students that they give them free ride scholarships to. And it ain't you. I'll talk about why it ain't you on another broadcast. But the point is, they're going to give free rides. And for this student, he couldn't pass it up. How could you? Free ride in this economy? We ain't got no money saved for college? Yeah, I'm taking that. So they're losing students. So you need to know that. You need to be aware of that, because if you know that, knowledge is power. I'm not going to date myself with G.I. Joe, but I already did. Knowing is half the battle. Okay? So now that you know that these colleges are hurting for your enrollment, that means you can apply to wherever you want, and you can squeeze them. Squeeze them for more aid, gift aid, the free money. Particularly if you have good grades and good SAT scores, because they need you. And that's what opens the bottom, if you will, to let the marginal students in. If you can come in high SAT, high GPA, that keeps their profile high enough in the rankings so that they don't lose clout. I'm Stephen Ampersand. This is the Turn Tassel Show, and we are Turn the Tassel Consulting Group. We'll see you next time.